This is a handmade controller with the latest TMR joysticks that are better than Hall effects. This is the PB Tails Defender. And yeah, that's right, this is a hand sort of made or painted or whatever metal controller by PB Tails. And yeah, it's pretty pricey, coming in at £87, so nearly £100 for a controller. But like I said, this is a handmade thing. So first of all, you'll notice this rather nice case, sort of leather feeling case. Like it's clearly not like real. It's like a weird, I don't even know what to describe that as, but if I scratched it, it would properly scratch. But it is a hard case, and let's just see what's inside, shall we? Boom! There you go. That's the PB Tails Defender. So before we look at that, yes, this is a molded case to protect it in. And yes, you also get a USB-A dongle as well. In rather nice purple as well. It's quite nice. I'm digging that. And as you can see, this is the Battle Defender, like the battle damaged controller, the PB Tails Crush Defender. And yeah, it's got like this straight away noticeable thing is metal joystick caps. Like what? Like it's really strange. Unfortunately, they are like polished chrome, so they are really slippery in my opinion. I think if they were like, you know, etched or something, it would have been a lot nicer. So straight away, that's a little bit of an inconvenience. But you know, you could just stick some joystick caps on there, and that's my only real gripe with this controller. I'm hitting it out, like getting that out there immediately. And now let's look at the good stuff. The good stuff is it is properly metal. Like this is a metal controller, so it's got some pretty big heft to it just there. But I actually really dig this hand painted, like hand designed controller. It's very nice looking. Like it looks very cool. They've gone to a lot of effort to do all this. It's all like metal and everything. It's very, very cool. And each one, I believe, will be unique because of the handmade nature as well, which again is awesome. So if you've got one of these, it probably won't look exactly the same as mine because, you know, it's handmade and hand designed. There's no extra back paddles or anything, so there's no like button mapping or anything like that. But do you really need it? Probably not. This is more of a premium kind of, almost like a collectible controller rather than like something that you'd want to use. I mean, it is designed to be used, especially with the specs, but you know, I'd probably have this like on the shelf. So it is a multi-platform controller. It comes with an Xbox layout as well. And yeah, you've got all the stuff that you would want it to have, like analog triggers and your really decent bumpers as well. Everything feels really nice on this controller. It's very well made. You know, it's what I would expect from paying £87 for a controller. Like it just feels good, you know? But yeah, you can connect it via Bluetooth, or you can connect it via the little dongle, or you can do wired as well. So we've got our usual buttons up here. We've got our like plus and minus, which you like start and select. We've got a little like, you know, double square button thing. We've got the home button. We also have a T button, which is going to let you customize some things on this controller as well. We do have our classic LB, RB, RT, LT, and all that good stuff. But like I said, there's no other extra buttons. We do on the top though, however, have our sync button over here, or our input mode. So you've got like X input or switch input basically. So you can use this on the Switch, even though the button layout is an Xbox controller. We got USB-C charge as well, which they say gives you about a 10-hour battery life, but I'm unsure if that's with RGB LEDs on or with, you know, them off. But either way, 10 hours, pretty decent to be fair. You do have some RGB LEDs as well, as you can see here, but you'll notice like when you're square on, they're like a little bit less lit, but if you tilt it, they like brighten up. So I think the LED lights are like offset so that they're like shining through at an angle, but that's not a bad thing because they're not blinding. They just light up enough for you to see them, but they are individual lit, you know, so you can change these as well as this on the base as well. We also have our D-pad as well, and it's one of those like slightly clicky ones, so you can kind of feel it as you roll it around. You know, that's, I think I personally prefer them when they're not clicky, but some people might like that. And the actual D-pad itself is really nice. You know, it's got a really big concave. It protrudes quite well, so you can get some good movement on it as well. But, you know, when you press it down and rock left and right, it does input on the left and right. So you can't like change this to a 4-way only. It is just an 8-way D-pad, and that's that. So before I get into all of the good stuff, which is about the TMR joysticks, right? Because this has them, which is the brand new thing. Let me tell you about those lights. So if we press T and roll the left joystick around, this light is going to change. And I really like this feature because it actually goes through like a cycle. It's not just, you know, clicking specifically. Like you're basically using an RGB wheel and you can really dial in exactly what color you want, which is pretty cool. You know, I've not seen that done on another controller before. So I actually like the fact that you can really dial it in to whatever color that you want. And that doesn't affect these lights just here. And to change those lights under the face buttons, it's exactly the same, but with the right one, right? So I'm gonna hold T, and then as I move this around, you can see those lights, RGB LED lights changing, so you can really hone in to whatever you want. So it's a very cool feature that it's got like a spin wheel and you can really dial in what RGB color you want. But if you don't want that, what you can do is have the multiple lit ones, and that is by pressing T and then say like on the D-pad, right? T, D-pad again, and do you see how it's switching around all these different colors, which I kind of like them being all these different colors. So I actually really like that feature that you can just change via like presets or with that RGB spin wheel. Again, I've never seen that before on a controller before that lets you have exact control, and I think that's pretty cool. Now, if you press and hold T and press down on the minus button or on the plus button, it goes through the various stages and it does rumble to say, hey, you know, you've changed the brightness, so you can turn it down. So let's put it on like the second brightest one just there. And yeah, you've got a lot of customization just over these RGB LEDs, which I do find quite cool. And you can just turn them off as well, but I do like them on so that I know like, oh yeah, the controller's on. So I've told you about the feel of the D-pad already, but let's have a feel of the buttons and the triggers. So the buttons themselves, you know, they got a very minor wiggle on them, but again, this is a metal controller, and personally I'd prefer it to have a bit of wiggle because that way I know they're not going to get stuck in. You know, I'm not going to depress A and then let go and it still be stuck in there. Like it returns really well, you know, like that's gonna keep coming back out, whereas I have seen it before in the past where some controller manufacturers have tried to get around that wiggle by just making it tighter around here, and you press it down and then it just stays like that and you're like, oh, okay, great, can't use it now, I'll have to dismantle it, which is frustrating. So a bit of wiggle is actually okay. These are actually etched as well, so the face buttons themselves even have their cool like Defender design on them, right? And the RGB LED like bits are like recessed through that metal sort of design there. They are just membrane, but they work well, they return quickly, there's no like excess travel or anything. Quite a fan of them, to be fair. So the bumpers are pretty clicky as well, and again they return very fast. You know, they are actuating exactly how I'd want. They're not spongy, they are clicky. There's a hard stop, so they don't like recess into the controller or anything. And yeah, I've been enjoying these bumpers. The triggers then, again, really like the triggers. They are analog, and I've not had an issue at all with these triggers. But one thing I've skimmed over, which I should have started with, is the ergonomics. You know, you can see that this is PBtail's own design, the Crush, and it is really comfortable. You know, it's got some really nice protruding horns just there with some good grip on them as well. It's nice and angled. They are very sort of in your face with their curves and ergonomics, and you know, I do find it extremely comfortable. Again, the only thing is very slight slippery joystick caps here with the metal, and you cannot remove them. The whole thing's a metal dome, which does lead to them being very, very smooth, which is very good. You know, I'm a big fan of that. They've got anti-friction rings around here, and then they've got the metal joysticks themselves, so very, very smooth, which is a huge plus considering they've got TMR joysticks, right? You want to have the best, and personally, I much prefer having a metal anti-friction ring as well as that plastic anti-friction ring around the gate. But before we go into those sticks, I'll show you turbo. So let's get my ROG Ally X just here, and yes, I am playing Destiny just to show you just here. So this is Destiny 2. If I press T and B, right, and now I hold it, just see how he's like having a fit just there? It's because turbo's enabled. So basically turbo is just repeating that action for me whilst I'm holding the button instead of me having to do this, right? So instead of me doing that, I'm just pressing and holding it, and the controller is doing those inputs for me. You can have turbo on multiple buttons, right? So now he's like spazzing out there as he's jumping around and stuff. If I press T and those buttons again, then it does cancel it out. So now I'm pressing and holding it, and that's acting like that. That's just a single jump. And if you press T and L3, it just cancels out all your turbos. So that's something to be aware of. But now let's talk about TMR joysticks. You've probably heard of Hall effect joysticks, right? Where they use magnets instead of friction, like potentiometer sticks. And potentiometer sticks are susceptible to drift. Not always, but they can get drift, right? Hall effect sticks also reduce the dead zone rate and increase the input rate. So they're much quicker to actuate your input, essentially. But TMR joysticks are the next thing, and they are supposedly even better again than Hall effect. And yes, this does have TMR joysticks. So TMR stands for tunneling magnetoresistance. So PB Tales have told me the benefits of TMR over Hall effect. So Hall effect sticks offer a resolution of approximately 300 points per axis, right? Whereas TMR joysticks achieve a resolution of up to 3,000 points per axis. That's 10 times the amount as Hall effect, right? So this means that every subtle movement that you make in a game is captured with greater accuracy. Not only that, but they are lower power consumption as well. So Hall effect sticks consume around 4 milliamps, whereas TMR joysticks consume 1/50th of the power at 100 microamps. So that's 98% less power, which is ridiculous. They also have a higher polling rate as well. So Hall effects typically have a polling rate of about 500 hertz, whereas TMR joysticks, according to PB Tales, can achieve a report rate of 1,000 to 20,000 hertz, which is absolutely insane. So this exceptionally high reporting rate ensures immediate response to the joystick inputs, providing a faster and seamless gaming experience, whether you're engaged in high-speed shooters or precision-demanding games like racers. TMR joysticks give you a competitive edge at crucial moments. That was the official PB Tales rep that you just heard speaking there. And yeah, in my use, you know, these sticks have been incredibly accurate. You know, they're very, very precise. There is zero noticeable dead zone at all that I've noticed at all. You know, it's been highly responsive, like absolutely insanely responsive, even via Bluetooth, which is like the worst way, right? You would want to play wired or with that USB dock, you know, the little dongle thing instead. But I've just been like, meh, you know, let's play it with the Bluetooth. I have tried those other methods as well, and honestly, there's no perceivable difference at all. You know, this is incredibly accurate, but like I said, the only thing that lets it down a little bit is the polished, you know, like doorknobs on here. Putting some rubber caps on here might be better. I mean, honestly, PB Tales, just my opinion. You know, I've tested a lot of controllers and stuff. If you etched these, then it would be better. Like, cut into it, like put a freaking grid on there or something, like, you know, a little chessboard, you know, like cut into it, or like scrape it up like the rest of the controller here. Just get at it with a hacksaw or something and just go, like, you know, just go nuts. And that will then give it some nice grip, because it is just very skatey at the minute. It's very skatey. So yes, this is a very expensive controller, £87. That's going to be well over $100 for sure. So it's a very expensive controller, but it is very cool. I mean, look at it. Like, it looks like something straight out of Fallout or something, you know? Like, it's very, very cool. I feel like I've just been wandering the wastelands and just seen this on the floor somewhere and just picked it up and started using it. Like, it's very unique. I've never seen a controller like this. It is freaking metal. It's very premium, and it works. You know, it's not just something pretty to look at. This is a really good controller, and those TMR joysticks, amazing. So what do you think of the PB Tales Crush handmade, hand-painted metal Defender TMR goodness, crazy price stuff? You know, let me know in the comments what you think about this. Let me know if you've experienced TMR joysticks before, if you've never heard of them or whatever. Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, smash the thumbs up, subscribe, become a member, and you can talk to me and AJ over on our private Discord as well. And talking of AJ, go and check out our podcast over here where we talk about all things gaming. Check out another video from me down here. Thanks for watching.